Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the SSL group stage last week before the playoffs. My name is SiNO. I'll be taking care of you guys tonight. We have Castaway X versus LINEA in a best-of-1 series. On border should be an amazing game, and without further ado, let's kind of fly by our pre-show because we have a game ahead of us, and I don't want to rob you guys of any time where I could take away from you guys getting your votes in. If you want to be included in the on-screen socials, you either put a 1 or a 2 for the teams, and how to vote is pinned in the chat. And without further ado, let's take a look at the venue we're going to today. And without further being said, honestly, just we'll get these players situated. They're ready. They're almost ready to get the game started, and by that time, you guys should have your votes in, and we'll take care of you guys real soon. I do apologize for the long delay, but unfortunately, we are going to have to watch this in a 4v5 fashion. But last week, we let that get in the way of my motivation and my pacing and my energy, and I'm going to try not to let that happen this time around. I'm trying to be open to new things, like players not showing up for game time, even if it is a BO1. So, heads held up high. We continue to hope for the best. Now, a couple notes about these teams. Now, LINEA, I'm not too familiar with, but Castaway X, considering I'm literally their team caster, I know a little about how oh my god, holy, we're off to a great start. I know how they've been playing earlier on in the season. They haven't been able to find joy, and with recent playing on Bank, they were able to struggle again and again and again, and they went to Chalet last week, where they shockingly were insanely coordinated. It was from a team that had the right ideas but couldn't coordinate to a team that was hitting the mark each and every round, and they continued to go neck and neck with a team that had experienced players on it, and they managed to prevail within regulation, giving them the points that they need to stay lower mid-table. With that being said, we had a player, Omniway, going 17-8-1 against Cold Fusion, with the player Canadian on their team. You guys may be familiar with him if you are familiar with console competitive. That is the beginning of a great start for a team in their progress within console competitive. So for them, you put a round of applause together, and you hope that they can continue to put their best foot forward between each and every map that they play to continue to find joy in and throughout each and every single time they play this game. Having a 4v5, though, kind of gives them automatically a man advantage, and now that they're on border, they have an even higher chance at being able to find success a lot earlier on in this series. All they have to do is maintain the body advantage and continue to apply pressure onto LINEA, not give them too much real estate or areas of the map, and from then on out, they'll probably find a good amount of succession if I do have to say so myself, as every single one of them's AFK. Hey guys, hello? Hello? There we go, we've sprung into action. Could be an old gen thing, but if that's true, which I really hope it isn't, that means they're capped at 60 frames for this entire matchup. On top of being down a man, might not be the greatest, but they'll decide to get rid of global intel and the snakes, so Castaway X will be providing themselves a little bit of a threshold to be able to get as aggressive as possible to get the job done. And for LINEA, getting rid of Mira and Clash, they don't want unfair one-sided gunfights. Now, precedent set for both teams to kind of establish certain areas of the map without having to deal with certain operators, but missing out on the Sazami ban, having truly run around with that regenerative ability could be a very big problem to deal with in later stages of this map. Now, struggling to deal with East right now, and with the F not stacked up as well, this is a near impossible hold unless they completely utility dump, which is a viable option considering they have that Monty and the explosives from the Zofia. So peel off, take your time, and from there apply the pressure. But miscoordinate and you'll suffer. You'll lose that Zofia downstairs in Passport, and truly becoming the first issue to deal with. Even if you walk in, you're fully affected by the F-Nut. You could decide to beeline it in, but you're completely unaware of the player on triple. You'll get the frag, but you've completely shredded off all of the Monty's health, and truly continues to put in a shift. He's massacred the entire team, sitting at a triple, leaving the Twitch at 1 HP. She has the case, but what does it mean if you don't have your health or your teammates around? Everybody has been taken out within a minute, leaving LINEA to use this remaining minute as a pseudo timeout to approach this next round with their heads held up high. Otherwise, the overwhelming pressure from Castaway X might end border very, very quickly. Now the Twitch, already taking control of security, has jail as well and has completely pushed off any defenders. They know they've done the damage. To peel off and sit in sight now is a luxury, considering they haven't lost too much utility. They lost Omni in the earlier stages, but it was a worthy sacrifice. Now truly caught off guard, not hearing the sprint to the fountain rotate, but it'll be soap to clean it up. Scrubbing the mistakes of his fallen teammates. Castaway X grabbed that first round convincingly. Even if they had another teammate, even if it was a 5v5, the same exact outcome would happen considering there was no intel provided on top East, allowing these attackers to get stranded and isolated to get picked off one by one. it could be the old gen thing, you know, considering the long lobby wait times. First round, quite convincing from Castaway X. And they look to continue to apply that pressure by going onto a site that can be comforted by verticality play. Now, by being able to do so, you add a layer onto your defense. And if you decide to go out into bathroom, which truly will, you add another layer. And you treat your site like an onion. It sounds weird, but let me explain. By treating the site like an onion, when you lose a specific part of the map, you can slowly but surely peel off the layers and force these attackers to attack a separate part of the map until they have all of the prerequisites to be able to set this site up comfortably for an execute. Now, seeing that they're going into customs as well, knowing they have that man advantage, they could be getting a little overzealous, but there's one less player at the beginning of each and every round, making it a lot easier for them to get a lot more aggressive and string themselves out to get the job done. Now, the shield up, an essential pick to being able to find certain parts of real estate without sacrificing any players. Use that bulletproof shield to your advantage, but that Grismont mine almost led to the death. But Monty will tell and live to see the day to try to clear these players out. Now time, slowly but surely, ticking down as they look to take certain areas of the map, but their focuses are set on all the wrong areas of the map. Yes, security is default, but you guys need to be aware that Armory is so heavily reinforced and backed up by so much utility that somebody needs to be outside of Armory Breach trying to apply that pressure. Even if you give it up by just shooting down the barricade, you apply some form of ghost pressure. Now, a little over a minute burned off by these defenders, and not a single layer has been yet peeled off, as the drones aren't giving enough information for them to clear out faster. This is why you get rid of the Dokkaebi and the Snake, because they cut a lot of executes in half for these attackers, saving them viable seconds to get the job done. Solus being isolated. Now Omni has to fight out from the depths of archives, but has the support of his teammates that sit in Armory. Two of them of which, Soap and the second, but a beautiful clear as the Monty and the Gridlock go big for 1 and 2. Little to no opposition in archives, but truly is gifted a kill on a silver platter. Looking to double down, to double dip on the hatch. Anyone who gets carried away is executed. Now 1C4 remains and could be the difference maker if you could get rid of that Monty. But iProne has that TCSG and knows how important it is to establish this amount of pressure. Soap, a beautiful rotate to go back outside the building and get back inside safely. C4 lands on the front doorstep of the Nomad, giving the man advantage right back to Castaway X. iProne now able to just sit back in the depths of customs and use that ACOG to just reap pressure. Only 2 players means when you try to put that plant down, you'll be in a pseudo 1v3, as Bravo will have 3 separate players to worry about with just 30 seconds left on the clock. Now pseudo verticality being established with that super shorty. Be aware, it doesn't matter, as this player is more than resilient as the Monty hits the ground running, picking out another player. Now the plant looks to go down. You'll find the Monty easily. Peel off and take your time. Soap says no. Gets rid of each and every single one of these players that touch on site. Castaway X, after a little bit of a struggle upstairs, they'll bounce back yet again, leaving LINEA with 0 rounds to respond to. Castaway finally starting to find joy throughout each and every single time they execute. Weren't able to find joy in the first couple of weeks on their openers, but now looking reformed due to the ability put in by their players, the practice, the guidance via the coaches in the org. They look reformed, and they're starting to perform at the top level. The question is, can they continue to carry this on? And is it enough to carry them into the playoffs? back upstairs, but they'll go into bathroom this time around. Third bands haven't come in yet. They're looking to approach a flawless cycle, and they'll probably have Cade for one more round before it gets banned out. Ying being the newer addition, it looks like a form of a rush play is the main idea. Excited to see how this will actually pay off if they don't have verticality established, which it seems like they do, and they do have the hatch opened out and the softball broken, so they can easily watch the vending plant. I was going to say they'd be in a little bit of trouble if they reinforced off the hatch, but no, it actually will work in their favor if these guys go for a rush, because there's 2 C4s, a Grismont, and a player watching above. You'll have that Guardian Angel waiting to get the job done. The Candelas are sent in, the Monty easily taken away. You don't even need the hatch coverage. Omniway is just ripping it up from within. Now the plant looks to go down, and Ying has touched the ground upstairs, but you'll lose the coverage on the window, leaving you in a 1v2 situation. Thatcher barely alive, but gets picked off in the last second with a flurry of kills. A sea of orange in the kill feed, and LINEA fall another round. Castaway X go 3 for 3. Winning all main sites on border, and they look to continue to pressure this team into potentially a flawless defensive campaign. This could be the game that dictates if they make the playoffs or not. If the teams surrounding them in the bracket, being Radiant, Wavench, Pit Wrath, lose their games, Carolina Castaway, or Castaway X now, have the chance to mount into top 12, which barely qualifies them into the playoffs. Could be a lower seed, but getting there in the first place instead of going home early is better. Take up back to Armory, where they'll look to continue to double down on their advantage and continue to apply this pressure onto a team that looks lost for words on the amount of pressure being applied to them. You have to give them credit where credit is due. Some teams just give up when it's a 4v5 and they forfeit, but at least LINEA is trying to get the job done here, but it could shoot them in the foot in turn. As I'm currently reading their standings, and they're 6-0. What? That doesn't sound right. They've beat every single team in their group stage, meaning they're flawless in the group stages. Regardless of what happens this game, it may sacrifice their top 4 standings. Actually, it won't. They're at 23. I'm excited to see this team in full effect with a 5-stack in playoffs, because if this is how advantageous it is to have one less player, I'm excited to see how they operate with a 5-stack, because right now it's a little too isolated per the player, and they really can't find access into the site. Kind of giving me something to look forward for this matchup in the future. But we shall see when we shall see. Canadian Heddles being played out, but no crouch holes on the security area, meaning some player can just walk up to these Heddles and fry whoever plays on the half wall. That just means one prolific fragger to get the job done here that could successfully bypass Ella in jail and try to lurk up towards the Canadian Heddles. You need one person to distract and the other to walk into the site. Maybe aggression is what's warranted here, but they've been trying to find joy and unable to do so. Guys are looking to find access, can touch into the building, but instantly located off by the Grismont. And in the meantime, the Twitch will go down. Barely taking care of the Ella, but Soap will step in and say no. Finally a kill, though, to get the job done. Almost instantly met with a refrag. Omni says yes, it will be met with a refrag. In a 1v4 situation now, 90 seconds, leaving your last operator to be your lurk. Not a single player is paying attention to Metal right now, so it could pay off. But Bradley, you have such a tall order ahead of you. successfully evading the cameras will allow you easy access into the building, and to get past the default cameras, your ability still has so much time left. What are you looking at the default cam for? A little too easy for Castaway X as they now approach 4 rounds unresponded for. This team is floating. They know what they want to do and when, and it continues to find joy throughout each and every single round, even through a 4v5. It could be the olive branch needed to push them into the playoffs, but it is solely dictated by how the remainder of the games on this match week go. Heading right back down. Ventilation and server. But these guys are going to go for the same exact hold this time, minus the Melusi. Now, a little confusing as to the Melusi pick. I know she's a very viable operator to be able to deny certain parts of a lurk, but I mean, you bring in barbed wire, and there you go. You have a pseudo Melusi where if you punch it twice, I mean, you'll take some damage, 5 per the tick, and you'll also be heard punching out that barbed wire. Castaway X is not a team that's been relying on Melusi. Yes, it contributes to their overall sight, and it contributes to how they play the game. But Kaid has been a lot more effective by closing out certain parts of the map to them, forcing a lot more mistakes a lot faster. So hopefully, LINEA can continue to take that into their future thoughts. Otherwise, it kind of could be a disaster. All quiet on the western front while either team just does their pre-work to be able to establish pressure for the defenders. It's finding pivotal areas to occupy, how to catch the attackers off guard. For the attackers, it's all about putting yourself in a position that sets you up for joy throughout the map. A minute burned off the clock, and still lots left to do here. Both teams look to continue to force this pressure. But no joy, still quiet. It could be the most quiet round that we've seen throughout this entire series between these two teams. We've always seen a pick within the first 90 seconds. A little bit shorter than that. First minute, a little bit more viable for Ying. I mean, it's worst case scenario. Oh, Omni, that's not an 18 kill performance, buddy. Almost slipping away from him, but able to do damage control. Now the Solus goes down, and so does Omni. YV completely tears it up from within, leaving just a Legion shotgun in this vicinity. Could take one down with him, but needs a full rotate. Right idea, wrong execution as the last shell doesn't connect before giving away the idea to the attackers. The clean house and the verticality, giving them that man advantage. The question is, what can they do with it? As they have a minute to get the job done here, a C4 could be promptly set up to get rid of the planter. Truly, you died to this last time. You have to be careful. As the one is sent loose, detonates. Gridlock narrowly avoids it, but that means Truly can just focus on using his secondary for the remainder of the game. No util needed, as iPro now has that TCS to get rid of whoever occupies top metal, but no connections both ways. Players will stay healthy or to the point that they were on. C4 sent to top metal and wasted out, meaning 0 left for these defenders. Pure gun skill will be needed, and they're looking for the idea on what hatch drop they want to go for. They know last time the server didn't work out, so it might be a time to drop into server from the other hatch to get the job done here. Gridlock going to be the player that goes for the sacrifice, and they're going to rotate on to the west main window to get into ventilation. Now 2 players will drop to cover. Gumine needs to be taken care of. If Truly had waited a second longer, that could have been one of the funniest passive denials we've seen, as that Gumine would have wasted out that clock and expired it, but LINEA are able to grab one singular round to prevent a flawless game. The question is, can they build on top of this, or was it just a fluke? The bathroom we go. They're not even going to try to do the same execute. Surprisingly enough, this team doesn't bring Castle to border, which sometimes it doesn't work out in teams' favors, but I mean, these guys play a classic form of Siege, so I'm excited to see how that'll actually play out in their favor. But right now, it's all about just taking their time nice and slow to establish a slow but sure lead that could give them a 5-1 split. Looks like they're going to try something similar, but could be the main idea to kind of fly into a certain part of the building. It doesn't necessarily have to be into, let's say, site window. It could just be an area where you decide to get into a certain part of the map and support that blitz with various operators like the Captains out, like the Thatcher, just in case there is a lot of pressure established in one part of the map. Now Grismont will give away the location of Bradley trying to enter in, and Truly will occupy that same area where he ripped it up from within on the first round, if you remember all the way back. The question is, can they this time clear him out? In the meantime, on the other side of the map, the Gridlock will take care of iProne, and it could be a little bit of a disaster for them considering they need this game. Now Truly, yet again, doing things that he does, truly is the truth, as he continues to rip up from within on the same exact part of the map. A minute 50, and they know where the Warden is. Get rid of Omni, or you guys are going to suffer. And suffer they do. Two critical operators who hadn't been able to utilize properly their util before falling. Leaving just two to get the job done here. At least they still have the case. You can find the silver lining in any outcome. But now you have 90 seconds to try to establish some form of pressure. Now YV taking some damage, but nothing to put him in a critical situation. Truly still in the engagement and hasn't been touched, on a scratch on him. A minute 15 as they continue to rip up from within. They've yet to even peel off that first layer of the map, and yet they struggle. Lots left to do. A minute left on the clock, and they've still been knocking on the door of the site. They got to pick onto iProne, and from there they ran into a roadblock that they couldn't build off of, and the momentum died down with that first kill. 50 seconds remain. No joy for LINEA unless somebody makes a heroic play. Thatcher being your case carrier means Blitz is going to have to put in a shift to make everybody look at him while that plant looks to go down. Unless there's a handoff, which doesn't seem to be the case. Now Blitz making his presence known, but running straight into a Razorbloom, giving away his location. He'll be limping for 5 more seconds, but in the meantime, Thatcher's able to walk into the site, and Bradley gets rid of Soap. Hold on. This could be the miracle workaround that they need. All you need to do is get out. Omni, are you serious? One player remains, and somehow a 2v4 is thrown out the window. LINEA able to grab it back. Maybe that's why they're untouched in the Swift stage. As Castaway X go on a default 4-2 split on border, despite being up a man every single round. What outcome is that? Have you ever heard of something similar to this? An absolute psychotic half. Castaway X still able to maintain the lead. But I don't know how long I'll be able to say that as they go on to their attacking half. The lesser preferred side on border, which could make this a little disastrous and could close the gap a lot faster than they could think. Question is this team up to the task to continue to apply the pressure? Main idea seems to be to bring as much aggression as possible. Not a single wall deny on the board, and they've decided to get rid of the shield operator so they can alleviate the amount of pressure that they can control at least. It's within their means to ban these players out, so to rid of them is to find joy. Superstar Omni himself has not been feeling the game and how certain things have been playing out. Usually the player that you see applying the most pressure, but right now breaks even as Truly leads the charge in the Twitch, has yet to even get into the server. An East take seems to be the main idea here. They look to continue to apply that pressure. Now access being solely established into East with little to no opposition, and the first Jago payload will be applied onto Bradley. Some Vigils decide to eat that call, so they can no longer be affected for the remainder of the round, but Vigil wants to maintain that health. Only 100 to work with, so understandable if that was the opportunity that they want to establish. But time continues to just slowly but surely tick down on these attackers, but they're still being met with absolutely no opposition as they're slowly waltzing into the building. Certain areas of the part have just been completely abandoned as Omni's already touched into jail, completely cleared any player who might have been sitting in this area. And top East has been completely given to these players. C4 burned out, leaving just one more. Say goodbye to that one as well. Lots left to do here. Almost a kill to take care of Truly, but no joy. Now Ella goes down to 1 HP, and not a good job for them to try to do damage control when one of your players is barely clinging on to life. And to eat a Jago payload as well, you're just going to incapacitate them for a couple of seconds while they reset their phone. Now a minute left on the clock. They can bring this back. Hold on, even out the man count. Just a minute remains. And the man advantage goes in the favor of LINEA while this plant looks to go down here. How well can you hold this cross, Truly? The answer is not very well. It's a little too easy as these guys deny the plant oh so easily. But iProne gets rid of the flank and Truly gets rid of the player who killed his teammate. Now leaving it to be a 1v2 situation. Both players are not very healthy, meaning an executive decision needs to be made when isolating. Can you pre-fire? This TCSG, make no mistake, will take your head off, but you'll shoot the man's arm until he'll expire. A beautiful round from Castaway X to reestablish the momentum for their team as they are now 1 round shy of the match point. An absolute barn burner for a 4v5 game, if I do say so myself. Usually 4v5 games are straight 7-0s, but this team's been putting up a fight, and I'm excited to see what they have in the playoffs for us. Because if they can do this, down 1 person, then I'm excited to see what they can do. And Castaway X just looking like a reformed team. It's all firing for all teams now. As we're being provided a live update on the standings by our good friend Click Smokes, we'll wait for that to come on in. It could end before that DM even comes in. They're only 2 rounds away from sealing the deal on Porter. But they just need to continue to force these mistakes. Round in and round out. Castaway X don't surrender their casual or locked-in playstyle. I don't know how to really explain it. They don't sacrifice their main takes. They're not scared to show their plays. Even being in a 4v5, they decide to continue to play their game and not give any easy handouts. Now Bradley being cleared out of security very well. Same site, no Joe rotate. Forced back into site, knowing how important his life and body is. 50 HP, could go for a risky rotate right back into security, but the question is, who's waiting for you? Now Omni gets rid of the Warden to add insult to injury. Not the best. And I'm being told right now, Radiant could potentially eliminate Castaway X, not even depending on their game, depending on the outcome between Pitrath and Kusho. But if Kusho wins, Castaway X by the skin of their teeth will make playoffs, which means they just have to focus on this outcome and rely on the remaining results to give them joy where it's needed. Sometimes this is just how leagues work. You need to give your faith as much hope as you can to try to give yourself an advantage. Now Truly, completely untouched right now as he looks to get this wall opened up with little to no opposition. A C4 burned as well to make it even easier for these attackers. Now both frags zapped out the sky. The question is, do they know that impact came from a C4 or a player just sitting below? It may not matter at this point in the game. Bradley's able to take care of Truly, but they'll lose another player on the site, making it a lot harder for them to maintain real estate. I mean, the Wamai just panicked, seeing a sea of orange running at him full speed, especially being boxed in the face by a shield operator. Not too fun. Bradley somehow escaping death 3 times in 1 round, but the 4th, it isn't too kind to him. Will fall. And Castaway X advance on to the match point. LINEA gave us hope, but it's not long lasting, as they now haven't been able to win a round since that insane comeback that they potentially could have had. And things will die down for them round in and round out. Potential last round of this game before we even reach double digits, making this a sub 1 hour stream, which could be pretty funny, but that's a little out of our purview for now. We just have to focus on the outcome of this game. Now let's see how this will work out. Guys, maybe a spawn peek's needed. I mean, Bradley seems to have gotten that memo, but it's really unfortunate. Not a single operator is there to fall for it. Bradley just waiting for the opportunity to present itself, but a single operator in his area and giving away his location as well. Valkyrie fully cleared out of Passport and massacred. But Bradley gets a good refrag. He get rid of that snake and truly taking heavy amounts of damage as well, but not before your Ashe just slowly lurks up metal and just planting her feet to get the easy kill, leaving just 2 alive to get this job done. Minute burned off the clock, and all of armor is now opened up. A C4 could decide to go loose now, but it would indirectly rob you of utility to use later in the round. Bradley getting aggressive at the right time, using the distraction from said Nitro to get a pick back in blood, but still, there's a man advantage in the favor of Castaway X, meaning they can still hit the blitz into the site, and it would be a little bit easier. Or they could decide to use their shield operator to walk into security, but he's isolated. He's on his own island right now. Warden putting the moves and the tricks on the player. 2 frags to put him in an impossible situation. Beautiful play by Soap to take care of things by himself, leaving just Bradley to get the job done here. Now the impact forces the temporarily off, but another melee, and that's game. Castaway X seal it with little to no opposition. Congratulations to them, and the hand and fate of them and their playoff dreams remains in the hands of Kusho and their future lineup. A little unfortunate that it was a 4v5 at the end of the day, but I feel like that game was a little bit more than I anticipated. It was a lot more higher energy. I mean, LINEA were trying different things, and it worked for 2 rounds, but that will be their first loss if the stats are correct in their group stage, meaning they still get to advance onto the playoffs, and they most likely get to maintain their top 4 status, establishing a bye within the playoff series. This has been the last week of the group stage. We could try to cover one more game if it presents itself, whether on Sunday or Monday. We shall see, but I hope you guys enjoyed this game. Make sure to leave a follow or subscribe to support this stream if you do enjoy this production. Send me a DM if you have any suggestions on how to make it better. Have a great rest of your night. Congratulations to Castaway X, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.